The Amityville Horror is a tale that has haunted the imagination of millions, a terrifying mix of true crime and the supernatural. The story begins in a seemingly normal suburban house at 112 Ocean Avenue, located in the quiet town of Amityville, New York. But behind its picturesque facade lies one of the darkest, most controversial chapters in American history. A chilling story of murder, terror, and the unexplained. Let me take you deep into the events that turned this home into a legend. The Massacre. It was a cold night in November 1974 when 23-year-old Ronald Butch DeFeo Jr. committed an unthinkable crime. Armed with a .35 caliber rifle, Butch murdered his parents and his 4 younger siblings as they slept in their beds. The crime scene was horrifying. All 6 victims were found lying face down, as if they'd been arranged, with no signs of struggle or an attempt to flee. The eerie detail? Neighbors never reported hearing gunshots. A rifle with no silencer fired 8 shots into the quiet suburban night, and yet the house and its surroundings were silent. When questioned, Butch claimed he heard voices, malevolent whispers in the house urging him to commit the murders. Whether it was a product of his deteriorating mental state or something darker lurking in the home, no one could say. But this gruesome act was only the beginning. The Lutz family moves in. 1 year after the massacre, in December 1975, George and Kathy Lutz purchased the house for a seemingly unbelievable deal, just $80,000. Despite the home's dark history, the Lutz family was captivated by its charm. A spacious Dutch colonial house with 6 bedrooms, a boathouse, and a view of the canal. It was a dream home for the family and their 3 children. But as soon as they moved in, strange things began to happen. The first signs. It started with small, unsettling occurrences. The Lutz family reported cold spots throughout the house, even when the heat was on full blast. Doors slammed shut on their own, and an unsettling energy seemed to pervade the home. Then things escalated. George Lutz began waking up at exactly 3:15 a.m. every night, the same time Butch DeFeo had killed his family. He claimed he'd hear strange noises, footsteps echoing through the hallways, whispers in the walls, and banging on doors when no one was there. One night, Kathy felt an invisible force embrace her, leaving her unable to move. Another time, she claimed to wake up with scratches on her body and saw her face morph into a grotesque wrinkled hag in the bathroom mirror. But it wasn't just the parents who were affected. The children began behaving strangely. Their youngest daughter, Missy, befriended a sinister imaginary friend named Jody, described as a demonic pig with glowing red eyes. George even claimed to see the pig-like creature staring at him through one of the windows, only for it to vanish into the darkness. The green slime and flies. Things took an even darker turn when the Lutzes began discovering mysterious green slime oozing from the walls and ceilings. It appeared without explanation and vanished just as mysteriously. And then came the flies. In the dead of winter, when temperatures outside were freezing, swarms of flies appeared in the house, most prominently in the sewing room, which the family avoided at all costs. No matter how many they killed, they returned, buzzing furiously as if to warn them. The house fights back. As the days passed, George became increasingly obsessed with chopping wood to feed the fireplace, as though the house demanded constant warmth. He grew irritable and distant, snapping at his family and spending hours staring into the flames. One night, Kathy awoke to find George levitating above the bed. On another occasion, George witnessed his wife being attacked by an invisible force, her body slammed against the walls of their bedroom. The final straw came when George ventured into the basement and discovered a hidden room. Painted red and barely large enough to stand in, the room emitted a foul odor and filled George with a deep sense of dread. The family dog refused to enter and barked frantically whenever they approached. The final night. After just 28 days, the Lutz family fled the house in the middle of the night, leaving behind all their belongings. They refused to talk in detail about what had transpired on their final evening, but they later described it as the most terrifying night of their lives. George claimed the walls bled, Kathy heard a deafening cacophony of voices, and their children were nearly pulled out of bed by unseen hands. They piled into their car and drove away, never to return. The aftermath. The Lutz's story captivated the nation. Their experience was turned into the book The Amityville Horror by Jay Anson, which became a bestseller. But as the story gained fame, so did the controversy surrounding it. Skeptics argued that the haunting was a hoax, concocted by the Lutz family to escape financial difficulties and sell their story. Even Butch DeFeo's lawyer claimed the Lutzes fabricated the tale. Despite the skepticism, paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren, famous for their work on other cases like the Annabelle doll and The Conjuring, claimed the Amityville house was one of the most haunted locations they had ever investigated. Lorraine famously described it as infested with an evil presence. The house still stands today, though its address was changed to deter tourists. Families have lived there since, with varying reports of paranormal activity. But the legend endures, inspiring countless movies, books, and debates. Whether you believe the haunting of Amityville was real or a carefully crafted tale, the house at 112 Ocean Avenue remains a chilling reminder of the unknown. Was it a dark force tied to the tragic murders, or simply the product of imagination and fear? One thing is certain: the Amityville Horror will forever be one of the most infamous and spine-chilling stories of the modern era.